After a warm start to the week, snow is about to return to the Front Range.
I'm timing out the latest snowstorm, plus how much snow we could see in Denver.
Rebuilding, but at what cost?
A lot of our heart is in this house. It's not just a structure, it was our home.
Homeowners devastated by the Marshall Fire debating their futures over rebuilding costs.
A special spin on costumes.
I'm gonna do a Razor Crest from The Mandalorian.
Yeah, I love Mandalorian.
A father-son duo on a DIY mission to make costumes for kids in wheelchairs.
And we begin tonight with another weather action day. Snow could foul up your drive home from work tomorrow.
Chief Meteorologist Mike Nelson tracking how much snow this round could bring to the Denver area. Mike?
Once again, after having a beautiful day today, much like last week, there's a big change coming up in the next 24 hours. Those high clouds we had at sunset are the forerunners of an approaching storm system pushing into the state as we speak. Not any precipitation to speak of, aside from a few flurries out over extreme western Colorado, but the advisories and the watches are already in effect along the I-25 corridor for tomorrow into early Thursday. We're under a winter storm watch for most of the I-25 corridor from early afternoon Wednesday until 5 a.m. Thursday morning as this cold front moves our way and spreads cold weather and snow. Now the morning drive will be okay, really through lunchtime. So developing in the early afternoon tomorrow, very slick tomorrow evening, and especially slick and slow for Thursday morning. Coming up the 7-day, I have a 60, but also yet another snowstorm. We'll pinpoint all of it for you in just a bit.
All right, thank you, Mike. It's now been nearly 7 weeks since a Marshall Fire raced through Boulder County, destroying more than 1,000 homes. And nearly 7 weeks later, the recovery process remains in a very early stages as homeowners ponder whether to rebuild.
Many in Louisville are concerned about the high costs of a new build brought on by city ordinances. Denver 7's Sloan Dickey talked with homeowners today about those concerns. Sloan?
Yeah, well, Louisville City Council actually voted this evening on emergency regulation ordinances that will allow developers to start planning to rebuild communities devastated by the Marshall Fire. But some residents we spoke with said they're still concerned that some codes are standing in their way of their ability to build back.
It's completely overwhelming.
This is all that remains of the house Geraldine Oaks and her husband put their entire lives into.
A lot of our heart is in this house. It's not just a structure, it was our home.
More than 500 homes were lost in the city of Louisville, just like this one. 500 homeowners faced with a daunting task of rebuilding.
On this ordinance, I just want to start by saying
Louisville City Council voted unanimously on Tuesday to clear the way for many of those seeking to rebuild, approving an emergency ordinance setting standards for developers.
We're going to try our best.
But what comes next is still a point of contention.
The International Energy Code, Conservation Code, is a very difficult thing to wade through.
In 2021, Louisville City Council passed bold new energy codes to curb carbon emissions, including material restrictions and a new net zero energy requirement for all new builds. Many in Louisville agree they are necessary to fight climate change.
I mean, there's not people in the neighborhood that are against energy conservation, not by any stretch.
But at this scale,
the codes were built for a handful of homes to be built, not for a catastrophic event.
And on this time frame, some residents say it will cost them hundreds of thousands of dollars to implement.
It's a 5 to 10% is what we're told. And in homes that are pushing $1 million in value, that's a lot of money.
Like others in Louisville, Geraldine and her husband were severely underinsured for their house, throwing their financial stability and her future retirement in jeopardy.
I think that our city council needs to come up to speed and listen to their residents and listen to their community.
Know that we are considering the issues that have been raised around building codes very carefully, and we're going to continue to do that.
City Council will take up the issue of energy codes in the coming weeks.
There's a lot of uncertainty, and we're going to try our best to get that uncertainty thoughtfully resolved where we can.
Residents here say it could be the difference if they stay or if they have to leave. Sloan Dickey, Denver 7.
Meanwhile, Boulder County is expanding financial aid to include homes that were damaged by smoke or ash. The county is making available $2,500 to homes with 1 or 2 people and $5,000 available for larger families. Applications can be submitted through Boulder County's website, and you will need to give proof that you've been displaced due to smoke and ash contamination. And the city of Superior has opened an assistance center to help businesses impacted by the Marshall Fire. And you can find it in the Superior Marketplace off Highway 36 and McCaslin. The center will have free work and meeting spaces, plus access to computers, the internet, and other office supplies.
Authorities are asking for your help finding a woman who went missing after she called 911 for help. Now, Clear Creek County Sheriff says Melinda DeFoyle del Toro called 911 Sunday afternoon. She told dispatchers her car was stuck in the snow near Miners Candle area. While responding deputies were able to locate her vehicle, but not DeFoyle del Toro. Authorities are asking anybody who sees her to please call 911 or the Clear Creek County Sheriff's Office. Well, the Douglas County School Board will hold a special meeting tomorrow to discuss the search for a new superintendent. And this will be the board's first special meeting since February 4th, when the conservative majority voted to fire Corey Wise as superintendent. Now, tomorrow night, the board will discuss a hiring process and timeline, a job description, and interview questions for applicants. And unlike the meeting earlier this month, this one will have public comment. It begins at 5, and Denver 7 will be there.
After years of trouble, changes are in store for the Aurora Police Department. Last night, the City Council approved a $4.5 million contract with IntegraSure, a Florida-based firm that will oversee state-mandated changes to training and hiring policies. And today, Denver 7 talked with the president of that company, and Jeff Schlanger says his firm will take a community approach while focusing on reforming the troubled department.
We will be having town hall meetings. We will be establishing an advisory council to the monitor, and those are all in the works now.
And he believes consent decrees like the one given to APD can truly work. And he cited his work with the Los Angeles Police Department, where he says public trust grew.
Governor Jared Polis is making it official. He will seek a second term. This evening, the governor kicked off his re-election campaign in Pueblo, where he launched his first campaign for governor. Now, Polis is touting his efforts to curb the COVID pandemic. His campaign also will focus on the rising cost of living.
We know that Coloradans are feeling a lot of pressure from inflation and costs, mental health challenges that have only gotten worse, crime. It feels like the price of everything's gone up. But my commitment to you is this. I'm working every day to save Coloradans money, help people hold on to more of their hard-earned money, and move us towards a brighter future for Southern Colorado and for the whole state.
And there are several Republicans aiming to unseat Polis, including businesswoman and CU Regent Heidi Ganahl and businessman Greg Lopez.
A bill banning the open carry of firearms within 100 feet of polling places and ballot drop boxes is one step closer to becoming Colorado law. Today, the Vote Without Fear Act cleared its first legislative hurdle by passing its first committee hearing. Concealed carry would still be allowed. There are also exemptions for police officers.
I would really say it's risky to not run this bill, unfortunately, from what we've seen from behavior from folks here in our own state. We are really looking at this as a safety bill. We are really looking at this as a voter protection bill.
Right now, only 6 states ban guns at polling places. They are Arizona, California, Florida, Georgia, Louisiana, and Texas.
Finding a passion early in life can be a blessing.
Today, Denver 7's Danny New met one young man creating some amazing things, and now he wants to share them with others.
What's a piston do?
So it goes up and down like this.
Riley here is 14, but it feels like he already knows how everything works.
And then there's a spark plug on a gas engine that ignites the fuel.
You know, when I was 14, I only knew like Pokemon. And while not all of his muscles function as well as most kids, his brain has far surpassed many adults.
I was messing around with the same stuff he was messing around with when I was his age, like the model cars. He's way better at it now than I am. Where's that hole?
His dad is also pretty handy, and together they're a team. At 7 years old, Riley was diagnosed with Duchenne muscular dystrophy, which is a progressive disease. By 10 years old, he needed a wheelchair full-time. But last Halloween, he and his dad used their collective expertise to turn that wheelchair into a classic racing truck. Riley loves it.
Ta-da!
cream.
Building this together, of course, gave Riley an awesome costume on a holiday that can be tricky for kids in wheelchairs, but it also allowed his dad to re-emphasize an important lesson.
I've gotten criticism for pushing Riley, for mentally telling him, you don't give up. Find a workaround. If you can't do it like I can do it, then let's figure out how to work around it. And I'm always pushing him to be thinking about that rather than get upset about it. Stop, think about it, and figure out how we can work around it.
I'm going to do a Razor Crest from The Mandalorian.
Yeah, I love Mandalorian. He already has his next costume picked out, but he wants to build more than that. Last week, their family and friends started a GoFundMe page called Riley's Rides, so they could make sure other kids in wheelchairs can feel this cool.
And so you guys are raising money to make more for other kids. Why do you want to help other kids have cool costumes?
Because some kids don't usually have costumes. Sometimes they don't get to go Halloween stuff. So it's a good thing to do.
And with a disease like this that can progress and continue to weaken muscles, memories like this can provide something special for everyone involved.
It makes it memorable for the kids. It makes it memorable for other people that are involved. It makes it memorable for people who come across these kids and the chairs and the costumes and see what joy it brings them.
Danny New, Denver 7.
Breaking down barriers to one of Colorado's most beloved pastimes.
Not only do people not believe that black people ski, but they believe it must just be one or two people if they do.
After the break, we're meeting a group aimed at making skiing more inclusive.
A now two-time world champion, Broncos legend Von Miller turned his focus toward his future.
The winter storm watch continues. I'll let you know how much snow to expect in your neighborhood.